I'm gonna say something kind of bold. I love masturbation. I do it a lot. I do it throughout the day, pretty much every day. And here's the reason why. Is for a lot of people, playing with their sexual energy, whether by themselves or with another person, is just about getting off. It's about achieving that state of release and then moving on with your day. But I have a little bit of a different relationship with my sexual life because for me, whether it's intimacy by myself, with myself, or intimacy with my beautiful partner, it's a spiritual experience. It's something I use to become more life-filled, more joy-filled, more energized, more well, more integrated, and more whole. So I believe masturbation can be a beautiful tool to help you reach enlightenment, to have a more wonderful life, if you use it the way I'm going to talk about today. So hey guys, nice to be here with you. If we haven't met before, my name is Kalen. I'm an ecstatic life coach. I work with people on how to have an integrated life where they allow all of themselves, their shadowy bits, their sexy bits, their joy-filled bits, to come together and to make every day feel magical. So let's talk about this. Show of hands, how many of you masturbate? Hit the like if you do. Most of us do. And I don't care if you're man, woman, intersex, gender fluid, I don't care what you are. Most of us enjoy doing it. But I think I have a little bit of a unique relationship to masturbation because for me, it's never been coupled with fantasy. It's never been coupled with needing something visual to get me off. Because from the time I very first started playing with myself, years and years ago, for me it was always about the physical sensations. And for the longest time, I never fantasized about anyone. Never fantasized about a sexual act. For me, it was this experience of feeling the pleasure, feeling that energy move through my body, feeling this kind of altered state of awareness, this spiritual transcendent experience that would happen not just in the state of orgasm, but throughout. Now, I'm somebody who has been very spiritually attuned and curious since I was quite young. Like I can remember first grade sitting at my desk just watching myself breathe and starting to have this almost orgasmic out-of-body experience, this amazing pleasure welling up through me just from focusing on the breath. So that's something that's always kind of been a part of me, and that is part of why I do the work I do. I'm very interested in those altered states that can come through meditation, mindfulness, sexual experiences, yes, even plant medicine, things like ayahuasca, San Pedro, psilocybin. And so from the time I was very young, I discovered that I could achieve this very joy-filled, blissful state through masturbation. Now, at that time I was highly anxious, highly afraid of my sexuality, didn't want to be me, was dealing with a lot of stuff, and it took me well into my mid to late 20s to start to really work some of that stuff out. I used to use masturbation much more as a coping mechanism to make me feel okay when I was anxious or upset or afraid. And I definitely entered a time where I didn't think of masturbation as being something sacred or beautiful or meditative because, let's be honest, most spiritual traditions, most religions, do not see sex as something good. You know, it's something just for procreation, or maybe it's a distraction from your spiritual path. I think we've all seen different traditions talk about renunciation, renouncing your sex life as a benefit so you can focus on something higher. But as I've gotten older, I've adopted a much more animist view and non-dualist view of spirituality. Animist meaning that I see spirituality in everything, in all things, all plants, all animals, all landforms, and non-dualist, meaning that there isn't a God versus non-God, spiritual versus human. It's all divine. It's all spiritual. And so from this lens of seeing everything as having a divine component, everything being an expression of cosmic play, then why should our bodies be the exception? Why wouldn't these bodies also be a gift and a tool to help us reunite with that joyful, ecstatic, blissful, divine state of consciousness? And I heard someone say this the other day, but it's really true. I mean, look at the fact that your genitals are like perfectly easily placed to be accessible by your hands. Biologically, we are set up to be comfortably able to touch ourselves. Why would that be if there was not an aspect of inherent goodness and pleasure in that? Why is sex described as something dirty, bad, sinful, or distracting? Because from my point of view, we see one of the powers of the divine as being the power to manifest new life. Where do we see new life but through our sexual energy? One of the aspects of the divine is being absorbed in bliss. Where do we regularly experience bliss but through the sexual pleasure our bodies give us. In fact, there's actually spiritual traditions out there who use the exact same word to describe the state of orgasm as they do a state of deep meditation / enlightenment. So why is it viewed as something bad? Well, I think a big part of it, and I know we've all experienced this, is that often this powerful energy within us can be used to hurt others. When we invade their space, when we lust after them and make faces or eye contact or gestures that makes them uncomfortable, or we, even worse, bodily force ourselves onto somebody, that powerful energy creates a lot of damage. And I think we all know individuals who've been sincerely fucked up by unwanted sexual attraction. I know for myself, I've been sexually violated. I've talked about it here on my YouTube channel. It's not cool. It's not good. We know how destructive sexual energy can be, but we very rarely talk about the opposite. We all know that energy is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. Nuclear power can be used to create electricity for your homes, or it can be used to demolish cities. We never talk about the positive aspect of sexual energy, because if it has all that power to cause harm, it must have a commensurate amount of power to create good things too. So how are we using our sexual energy for healing, for growth, for greater joy? Numerous healing traditions, whether we're talking about Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, or we talk about Taoist practices for health and well-being like Qigong, Tai Chi, talk about how our life force is connected with our sexual energy. And many of these health modalities discuss how too frequent ejaculation can be not so great for your longevity, that it depletes your life force. But conversely, the opposite is also true, that when we lift our sexual energy, when we engage with it, when we grow it and move it throughout our body, we can actually strengthen our life force. We can increase our vitality. We can increase our wellness, so long as we're being present to the life force. We're not distracted. We're not caught up in fantasy or watching porn all the time, but we're present to the experience and we're not rushing to a conclusion. Now, I'm not somebody who doesn't believe in orgasm denial or preventing ejaculation or no-fap, but I do believe in consciously choosing when we choose to expel our sexual fluids. I think it's really important that we learn to do things like edge, to have non-ejaculatory orgasms if you're a man, to learn to tune into your body so you can ride waves of pleasure and grow it higher and higher. Because when I masturbate, I'm generally not focused out here, I'm focused in here. I'm feeling the energy, I'm feeling the flow, I'm feeling the pleasure, I'm feeling all that starting to move through my body. I draw it into what some might call the central channel or the Sushumna Nadi, that column that runs up the spine. I circulate it through my meridians or nadis, my energetic pathways, and I feel myself growing more vibrant, more hearty, more luminous. And so when I do this throughout the day, because I'll do it while I'm writing, while I'm cooking, I use that and I start to build that energy higher and higher, and as I breathe and circulate it through me, I don't develop what some call blue balls, right? That feeling of, oh, this hurts. Instead, because you do this type of circulating through, it just allows this beautiful, buzzy, fizzy feeling to fill you. And I find that I stay healthier. I find that I have more energy, more focus. I find more pleasure in life. I'm more relaxed. I'm more joyful. I have better relationships. My life quality improves because of my masturbation practice. And then to take that one step further, when you really get into it, you can access altered states of consciousness, which again, how different are they from altered states you find with meditation and those deep insights, or the altered states you find through plant medicine? I know lots of people who've used magic mushrooms and say, I had one of the most profoundly affecting spiritual experiences of my entire life. I gained insights and awareness. I talked to my spirit guides. I talked to my dead relatives. Our energetic bodies are capable of doing that through touch as well. Now, I said modern spiritual practices tend to not believe this, but what about ancient ones? Well, what I think is really interesting, if you go back to a building like Göbekli Tepe, which is this amazing, sprawling, multi-mile temple complex that was intentionally buried, they think, built around 11,500 BC at a time when people weren't even supposed to be cultivating grains yet. There wasn't even supposed to be writing yet, and you find this amazing buried temple with these beautiful complex sculptures that look like modern artisans did them. In this temple complex, you can find, at this moment, and they're still uncovering it, 2 statues of men masturbating. Why would we in this ancient temple complex have depictions of a solo sexual experience? Now, I personally believe that there were ancient cultures more evolved than our current ones. I do believe that there were societies that have risen and fallen over the course of millennia, that we have had more advanced societies, we will have more advanced societies again, and the Earth forgets. The Earth turns, disasters happen, and we forget. But I do believe there were times where we were more spiritually attuned. And since this was coming from a time that some might argue, I did a recent video on this on ancient superhumans, some might argue we were at a high point in our development. They're suggesting that there is a link between sexual energy that we express within our own bodies and a spiritual state by its sheer existence in a temple complex. So that's something I really latch onto. I latch onto this idea that our sexual energy is amazingly powerful and healing. I know I have been healed from the lovemaking I've had with my beautiful husband and what we've created together. I know I feel more healed from my lovemaking practice with myself. I know that I am a happier, healthier individual now than I was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And I think a big part of that is not only the spiritual work I'm doing in a more traditional sense, but the spiritual work I'm doing in a touch, pleasure-based sense. So I think you can use your masturbation practice to help you achieve enlightenment, to become a more joyful, relaxed human being. And if you like this, if you want to see more, I would head over to my Patreon, because the NSFW version of this will actually give you an opportunity to see me demonstrating these practices and not just talking about them, which could be fun. So if you're so interested, head over to Patreon. You can also click on my link tree in the description below. That will get you there, and to all my other social media sites. If you like these kind of conversations, if you like breaking through these taboo things that people don't normally talk about, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and turn the notifications on. Also, drop a comment, because I love to hear your thoughts. And if you want early access to these videos, Patreon will also give you that as well, in addition to behind the scenes, what's going on in my life, and special Patreon only things that you won't find anywhere else. So thank you guys for your attention and kindness. Thanks for listening to me babble on about things that I love. I'm Kalen. This is Ecstatic Self. Pleasure, blessings, light, and love to you.